Welcome back to another episode of Ads for Lunch, the show where real advertising professionals tell you about ads they really like. So today I'm joined by Anna Kauffman, Cassidy Zimmerman, and a special guest. Now, I must admit I have never physically fought someone for the last piece of lamb, but that was before I met Sam Martin from our friends at Bred. So hello, Sam.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. So today we are betting our lunch on food. We're looking at ads from CPG brands, restaurants, really anything and all things food related. So Cassidy, I'll start with you. What are you betting your lunch on today?
All right, I am betting my lunch on an ad from Pepsi that debuted at this year's MTV VMA Awards, which has a ton of viewers, especially youth viewers. So the ad campaign features a diverse group of multicultural Americans, youth Americans they're encouraging them to register to vote so that their voice can be heard in the upcoming election. So I thought this was a really smart move for Pepsi. As you'll see in the ad, there's really not that much product placement, but we do know that millennials and Gen Z prefer to support brands that are socially responsible or speak out on various issues. They do that in this ad. They talk about a lot of issues that are really important to youth voters. So I think it was a good way to raise brand awareness, tie themselves to something timely, and it also has a very diverse group of people featured in the ad, which is important because a lot of youth can see themselves reflected back in the ad, and then they will feel tied to those issues as well. So love to see that. And it, of course, has a play on Unmute. The campaign is called Unmute Me, and we're all living on Zoom now, so it's really timely in that way as well.
Unmute your dreams.
Unmute your future.
Unmute your voice.
Visit rockthevote.org/Pepsi.
Awesome. So, Anna, I'll start with you. What was your take on that one?
As Cassidy said, I think it's super timely and relevant, especially in the age of TikTok that has really given our generation a platform and a voice where they can sit down, record a video very candidly, and it has the potential to reach huge audiences. So especially just that call to action of unmute yourself, speak up, and go vote. I think it's really timely and relevant, especially to a younger audience whose vote matters during the election. So I guess this is also a call to action to make sure you're registered to vote, and you do that in November.
Okay. Very cool. Sam, how about you? What was your take on that one?
Yeah, I think it was great. I think you really hit the nail on the head with the audience. Pepsi, we know, skews a little younger too in their demographics, so I think it does a great job of inspiring those younger voters, maybe first-time voters, to really get out there and share their opinion and share their voice. I think it's great that they did skew a little more conservatively on the brand placement, and they just kind of wanted to more promote the message in themselves. I thought it was really great.
That was a huge departure from the last Pepsi commercial that I remember with Kendall Jenner and the, it's I think it shows a lot of progress is probably the nicest way I can say that. But yeah, kudos to them for figuring that out and letting the can take a back seat, and I think it's a great time to do it. So yeah, that's a really good entry. Good way to get us started, Cassidy. That was a good one. And register to vote. Okay, so Sam, let's go to you next. Do you want to tell us about the ad that you brought in today?
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't want to give too much away up front because I think the ad is a little shocking if you haven't seen it before. Not in a bad way, but just in a really interesting way. It's from Kraft, and I think they do a really nice job of touching into the current ongoing events as well as small daily struggles that I think a lot of people are facing that aren't necessarily acknowledged or aren't talked about frequently. A lot of people talk about the larger issues, the macro issues that are going on, but not necessarily the struggles that they face every day in their home. And I think this does a really good job of targeting those families and those parents and speaking to them in a relatable way.
It's morning. The sun is shining. The birds are chirping. Your kids are... So start their day with a bowl of Kraft mac and cheese for breakfast. It's the same mac they love, but 100% more breakfastier. Because you 100% need a break. Kraft macaroni and cheese for breakfast. For the win-win.
Oh man, that is pretty good. Yeah, I gotta say that's a bullseye for me. I think if I can go first on this one, I feel like Kraft has they have one of those products that as a parent you can kind of just say yes to, and it's not, it's not like cotton candy for breakfast. I mean, okay, I'll get to the breakfast part in a minute, but I think it's super insightful of them to say like, hey, you know what? You need a break, and it's okay to have Kraft macaroni and cheese for breakfast. I do have some questions though about what exactly makes it breakfastier, if anything, and maybe it's okay that it's nothing. But I think that's part of what I love about it is that it's so. What is happening? Like you got my attention when you said for breakfast, and I feel like if that would, give a lot of people that break that they need, that would be a win. And I see you nodding your head. How do you feel about that?
I'm in the vein that mac and cheese is kind of an anytime food. I don't have like the most mature palate, so I definitely dabble in mac and cheese morning, noon, and night. And so I think it's just normalizing that, yes, you can have mac and cheese for breakfast. You're not a bad parent if you're giving your kids mac and cheese in the morning because that's the easiest thing to do. So I think it's just like a call to parents, like have mac and cheese for breakfast. There's nothing wrong with it. So I really liked it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think it does a great job of like normalizing that quick breakfast thing. Kraft conducted a study, actually, what I thought was super interesting, where they surveyed 1,000 parents, and out of those 1,000, 56% of parents said that they served Kraft mac and cheese to their kids for breakfast more often than they did before quarantine. So that was a little bit shocking to me too, because I was like, how often were you serving mac and cheese for breakfast to your kids? Because that's what was shocking to me, was the mac and cheese for breakfast thing.
Yeah.
But I thought it was an interesting little fact that, out of 1,000 people, 560 of them are like, yeah, we're doing mac and cheese for breakfast. Kraft did a neat kind of mini little activation with it too, where they, for every box purchased during a week-long period, they donated 10 boxes to feed the children. And you could kind of engage in that by hashtagging KMC for breakfast. And there was another hashtag, I don't remember, but you could hashtag KMC for breakfast and hashtag sweepstakes before August 7th, or enter on a microsite, and they would enter you in a raffle for a breakfast box, and you got like a box of mac and cheese, a placemat for your kids to color on, some like fun magnets for them to play with, and they could pick like breakfast toppings for the mac and cheese, like scrambled eggs or bacon or sausage.
Oh, wow.
And then very interesting. Scrambled eggs and mac and cheese, not my go-to combo, but bacon for sure.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a good way to engage the parents and really from multiple levels, speak to the parents that have busy mornings, working from home, managing kids in their school too, and then giving back with Feed the Children and donating food to people who don't have as much access to it.
Wow, very cool. What about you, Cassidy? Would you eat macaroni and cheese for breakfast?
I would. I've never thought of it before, but now I might whip some up, It's still early in the day. Could still have mac and cheese for breakfast. I think my favorite part of the ad was the flip from the super calming, relaxing music to the kids screaming. I thought that was really smart. It really emphasized the shock factor of what they were saying. Also, just like, as we know, time doesn't exist anymore. Why not have mac and cheese for breakfast? And it does, like everyone was saying, normalize it. It takes some of that shame off of parents and guilt. I know a lot of parents are balancing a lot right now. They don't need to feel guilt on top of it. So why not just make some Kraft mac and cheese? It's easy. It's delicious. You can throw some bacon in it. So I liked it.
I gotta say, I was still pretty skeptical until you said sausage and eggs and stuff, and then I was like, okay, all right, I kind of get that. It's sort of like if you do like a polenta and then eggs on the polenta, maybe like it's kind of the same thing. I might have to try this one this weekend and just kind of get my kids' reactions when they see macaroni and cheese for breakfast and check. But I got to say, it's one of those cases where if the data says 56% of the people are saying they're doing mac and cheese for breakfast, then you kind of follow the data and see what happens. So yeah, that's a good one. I would not want to be Anna right now because Anna, you have to go next. How are you going to follow that one?
It's going to be tough. But I am doing an ad from Bumble Bee Seafood, who recently launched a major advertising campaign to promote the protein benefits of tuna and really just expand the concept similar to Kraft, how you would traditionally view tuna. And so this comes at a time where tuna sales are actually exploding due to the COVID-related lockdowns and consumers really just stocking up on those non-perishable protein sources, not knowing if the grocery stores were going to remain open. So that surge actually brought in a whole new audience to the tuna category, specifically attracting young consumers to its products. And the data analyst inside of me was super excited about the consumer research and what that revealed. So again, similar to Kraft, really just taking a data-driven approach to their messaging and their targets. So specifically, they identified a white space that even among regular tuna consumers, many people weren't thinking about the health benefits of tuna and thinking of it as one of those grab-and-go options as a good source of healthy protein. And so that's where they really try to play in on their messaging in their branding campaign. And so I really love this ad because it's really unexpected from a CPG food brand. Really at first, I thought I was watching a Nike commercial. I was waiting for the "Just Do It" tagline to flash on the screen at the end. So in that sense, I thought that this Bumble Bee food was really just being innovative and creating a memorable brand experience and really just capitalizing on the current times where there is a large demand for shelf-stable food. So I'm going to bet my lunch on this Bumble Bee Tuna ad, and when I win, if I win, I'll be sure to buy everyone a round of tuna for lunch on me.
Oh man. Okay, well that might tip the scales here.
When you have nothing left, what fuels you? Your pride? Your pain? Is it a rival that fuels you? The agony of defeat? Is it the glory of victory that fuels you? Or is it Bumblebee Tuna? Bumblebee.
That's pretty good. Is it? I hear you on the misdirect there. I was thinking Gatorade or some whey protein or something or other. But yeah, that was a good misdirect. How about you, Sam? Were you thinking it was going to be tuna?
Yeah, I was not expecting tuna at all. I do think it's really interesting. I had seen that before, and I think they do a really cool job of integrating their new items and kind of the ready to eat packaged. That was I think lemon pepper tuna, which I thought was really interesting. So they're really promoting the health benefits in a time when everybody's concerned about health. And I think that really also brings it to the forefront, not only for athletes, but people at home realizing hey, I could probably take this time to redo my diet or to eat something a little healthier than just, grab and go quick food.
Cool. Cassidy, how about you? Would you put lemon pepper Bumblebee Tuna in your macaroni and cheese for breakfast, or?
I do like a tuna melt. I feel like that would be a similar. You've got the carbs, the cheese, and the tuna. So I would consider. Probably not for breakfast. It's a little early for tuna. But I did really like that ad. It was very Nike-esque, which is interesting because you see a lot of sports brands playing in that space, but not many food brands. And I'm wondering if they're taking this opportunity. A lot of companies had to pause their ads once the coronavirus pandemic started. So this is a good opportunity to rebrand and explore new areas. I'm wondering if this will just be a one-off ad or if there will be a larger campaign. So I think this was a good first shot at potentially changing up their messaging. And it was weirdly inspiring for a tuna ad, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always like to look at these with my production hat on, and it's probably not an accident that took place in a big open space with just one actress, and certainly people behind the camera. But they were probably able to do that. Where if they said, "Hey, let's try to do something with a bunch of characters," even the Kraft spot would have been, difficult to do with all the regulations and just the way that we have to stay socially distant even on a set. So. Yeah, I thought that was a good solve for that too. They're like, okay, we figured it out. Number one, people are eating tuna. It's shelf stable. And we have this concept that's, a lady in a truck tire, and that's all we need. So guys, if you follow Gatesman Agency on social media and you watch all of these shows because you subscribe to the YouTube channel, then we have come to the worst part of the show where I have to pick a winner. So we got some really good entrants today. We're everybody's betting their lunch on some good ones. I think that the winning ad had that shock factor. It had that surprise, and I'm going to give it to Sam for the mac and cheese for breakfast. I think the ad itself was pretty cool, pretty good. I think what really won it for me was when you started to tell the story of the data and how there's some serious science behind this, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, this is adding up. I can see it now. And then, like I said, you really got me at sausage. So. Yeah, congratulations. And we will see you next time on Ads for Lunch.